Hey everybody, it's Lisa Colón delay outside, hoping you can hear me with my mic. And today I want to read an article. It's not something I normally do, and this can be read at religionnews.com. It's by Karen Swallow Prior. She recently endorsed my book, The Way of the Desert Elders, and I wanted to share with my viewers and my audience some of what she does in case you aren't able to read it or you already know about her, maybe you don't, and just introduce you to her work. So she writes for religionnews.com, and this particular article is called Homeland Security Meme Nudges Painter of Light, in quotes, Thomas Kinkade into dark territory. This is such an interesting article because it shows what propaganda can do and sentimentality. And for people who know fine art or have studied fine art or have studied how culture and imagination can move the masses or sway people, I think it's really an insightful article. I hope that more people can read for themselves, but if you don't get a chance to do it, I want to do it here. So this was published on July 10th of this year, 2025, Karen Swallow Prior, and she writes for SRN, last week the official account of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security posted an image on X that went viral, a Thomas Kinkade painting titled Morning Pledge. And I'm going to try to add this painting, but it's kind of a flag and a little town sort of painting. And it said, the painting, like most of Kinkade's art, is warm and sweet, as American as apple pie, set on a rain-glazed morning on a small town street lined by a white picket fence and 1950s automobiles. The focal point of the scene is an American flag. It rises up toward rosy morning skies as school children file toward their school past a church and surrounding homes, all with windows glowing with golden light from within. In other times, this image and this message would be innocuous. A Department of Homeland Security, like such departments anywhere, is expected to, quote, protect the homeland and to advocate doing so. But like everything these days, the most innocent seeming messages seem to come with implications of a larger, darker theme. In the current context, protecting the homeland is laden with politics, posturing, cruel abuses, and cases that have gone all the way to the Supreme Court and are yet being played out. The post is a prime example of the far right's trolling strategy and a, quote, politics better understood as white nationalism rebranded for digital natives. As one writer recently put it, the strategy worked. The post received tens of thousands of responses, ranging from charges of anti-Semitism to calls for increased deportation to praise for white supremacy and accusations of Nazism. How is it that such a cozy image can evoke such vicious and polarized responses? The problem is, at least in part, the problem inherent in sentimentality and its concentrated form, sentimentalism. Sentimentality refers to an emotional response or attachment. Emotions are good, of course, but emotion apart from other values and measures, such as truth, reason, and context, descends into sentimentalism. Sentimentalism indulges emotion for emotion's sake, its own sake. The sentimental part, the sentimental art is just that, an indulgence in emotion for emotion's sake. It's not just art that can manipulate our emotions. Religion can too. And the connection between evangelicalism and sentimentalism is not just a coincidence of history. Sentimentalism has greatly shaped the modern American imagination, and more specifically, the evangelical imagination. This is an argument I develop at length in my 2023 book, The Evangelical Imagination, How Stories, Images, and Metaphors Created a Culture in Crisis. In the book, I cite Kinkade, who identified as an evangelical Christian as a prime example of sentimentalism within evangelicalism. Sorry, I'm getting my words mixed, and my tang tangled a little bit here. So he embraced it as both a reflection of a longer history of evangelical sentimentalism and as more of a recent purveyor of it. Of course, there are no shortage of sentimental art in evangelical culture or in the larger culture, for that matter. Cheesy love songs or worship music, anyone? But sentimentalism more generally has played out an outsized role within evangelicalism, and within that culture, Kinkade has played an outsized part too, or as well. Kinkade, who died in 2012, birthed one of the greatest evangelical empires of our day. While Kinkade's early art demonstrated the marks of a serious and original artist, he eventually churned out millions of works by employing artists and apprentices to mass produce works sold by mail order in galleries, on the internet, and in retail stores, reportedly earning at least $53 million between 1997 and 2005. He was described as, quote, one of the most financially successful artists in the world. It is estimated that reproductions of his work adorn 20 million homes. He explained that his title that he gave himself as the painter of light, and his cheery, light-filled, idealized painting reflected his Christian belief, saying, quote, light is what we're attracted to. This world is very dark, but in heaven there is no darkness, unquote. Kinkade found a natural human yearning for comfort, soothing, and the sentimental grew that appetite even more and turned it into a kingdom. A taste for the sentimental is a taste for a distortion of reality, not reality. It is a taste for things that make us feel good, whether they reflect the truth or not. To be sure, a trinket here, a souvenir there, a lawn gnome over there, or a kitschy mug over there entails no moral failure. But a life, a culture steeped in nostalgia for a vision of the past that never existed, or fervor for a future that includes only certain people, cannot but succumb eventually to lies and delusions. Notably, by the time he died at age 54 of an accidental overdose, Kinkade faced lawsuits over fraud, an arrest for DUI, and accusations, multiple, of sexual misconduct. Two former staffers also allege that he sometimes urinated in public. One great purpose of art is to recreate some aspect of human experience. The purpose of sentimental art is to recreate or even manufacture emotional experience. Such an experience can be harmless or even good, such as when a sentimental item handed down by a family member helps preserve a cherished memories of a loved one. But sentimentalism does harm when the emotions evoked erase or obscure objective reality. We think of aesthetic taste as personal, and it is, but taste doesn't emerge on its own out of nowhere. It is cultivated, and it is cultivated in culture. The sentimentalism of the Post by the Department of Homeland Security repeats the sentimentalism of the Kinkade painting by rendering a nostalgic vision of America that omits the excesses, the failures, the injustices, and cruelties that exist in any era, though they may take different forms, and making way for more of the same. If someone wants to hang such a sentimental picture on the wall in their home, that's their business. But when the American government traffics in distortions of reality, especially when it is an agency whose authority granted by Congress is manipulated and abused in ways that can violate our civil rights and liberties, that's everyone's business. It's great to read this article. I hope that more people read it for themselves, that it goes viral. And what Karen Swallow Prior is speaking about is when we try to distort reality organizationally, and this is in larger ways, hanging whatever we want on our wall, whether it's sentimental or cute or it's teddy bears holding balloons, that's fine. But as the government tries to use this phony, saccharine, cloying past, it means it's propaganda. And we are being submitting to or being influenced by propaganda. And we have to resist those types of messages and propaganda with everything we have, because it is trying to peddle in distortions of the truth. So I hope that was an interesting article. You feel free to comment if you'd like, and thank you for listening.